Adam, I've seen so many hadiths that claim to contain scientific miracles, but it's so clear they're fabricated. Can you tell me more about some of these?
Yes, Omar. There are countless fabricated hadiths that falsely claim scientific miracles. Most of them were invented for two main purposes. First, to be easily disproven, creating doubt and confusion in Muslims' faith. And second, to give non-Muslims an excuse to mock Islam and present it as a religion full of contradictions and false information. The real problem is that the strongest defenders of these fabricated hadiths are blind followers, Muslims and so-called scholars alike, whose education goes no further than memorizing what others, like their imams and salaf, have said. As we've said before, scientific miracles, whether in hadith or even in misunderstood Quranic interpretations, should be examined by real scientists, not by people who know nothing about science and refuse to use reason or logic. I've heard these so-called scholars say countless times, "Don't speak about what's not your specialty." Well, they should follow their own advice. Their only specialty is memorizing and repeating what others said. They should admit they know nothing about science and leave it to those who do. There's no shame in that.
That's so true, Adam. Some of these so-called scholars give explanations that are downright laughable. Take, for example, the verse, "And the sun runs on course toward its appointed term," 36:38. I've heard countless ridiculous interpretations of it. Science has already confirmed that the sun moves through space, carrying the planets along its orbit. So how can a bearded so-called scholar who can't see beyond his own beard explain this scientifically? Even the claim that the earth is flat is nothing but pure ignorance and blind rejection of both the Quran and reality. Let's take a look at some hadiths that claim so-called scientific miracles, claims that can be easily disproven with basic knowledge and common sense.
Oh, Omar, there are so many of these hadiths, and honestly, it's mind-boggling how ridiculous some of them are. Let's go over hadiths that claim medical miracles. The first one is a well-known hadith. It says, "Some people from the tribe of Ukul or Urena came to Medina and fell sick. The Prophet ordered them to drink the milk and urine of camels, and they recovered." This hadith promotes drinking camel urine as a cure, which is scientifically proven to be harmful and contains toxic bacteria. Some even went as far as conducting experiments in Saudi Arabia, trying to use camel urine as a cancer treatment, which of course was quickly proven to be fraudulent. Another famous, and frankly ridiculous, hadith claims that dipping a fly into your drink somehow makes it safe because one wing carries disease and the other carries the cure. If a fly falls into your drink, dip it completely and then remove it, for one of its wings has disease and the other has the cure. This is, of course, scientifically false. Flies are known to carry bacteria, viruses, and parasites, none of which become harmless by dipping them into your drink. Then there's the one about black seeds. "Use the black seed, for indeed it is a cure for every disease except death." While black seed, Nigella sativa, does have some health benefits, just like many other natural foods, there is no single substance on earth that can cure every disease. The claim is exaggerated and unscientific. Another ridiculous claim is the hadith about eating 7 dates as protection from poison and magic. The hadith states, "Whoever eats 7 dates of the ajwa variety in the morning, neither poison nor magic will harm him that day." This narration suggests that eating 7 dates can protect someone from any poison or witchcraft, which is scientifically and logically absurd. No fruit can neutralize all toxins or shield a person from every kind of harm or magic. Another hadith claims that cupping on specific days of the lunar month cures all illnesses. Whoever performs cupping on the 17th, 19th, or the 21st of the month will be cured of every disease. Of course, this claim is completely unscientific. Healing has nothing to do with the dates of the lunar calendar. And finally, perhaps the most laughable of all, the saliva of a believer is healing. This is scientifically false. Saliva carries bacteria. Islam promotes purity and cleanliness, not superstition or baseless myths.
Wow, Adam. If any of these hadith were actually true, we wouldn't need medicine, hospitals, or doctors at all.
As I mentioned earlier, Omar, these hadiths were fabricated to make a mockery of Muslims and discredit Islam. And it's truly mind-boggling that Muslims themselves believe in them and even defend them. Let's look at a few more hadith that clearly contradict science. One hadith claims that Adam was 90 feet tall. Allah created Adam 60 cubits tall, and mankind kept getting shorter after him. Of course, fossil evidence shows that humans have always been within the same general height range. There's absolutely no trace of 90-foot humans anywhere in scientific or archaeological history. Here's another that sounds like it was invented by a 4-year-old child. The earth rests upon a great fish. When the fish moves, the earth shakes and earthquakes occur. Do I even need to explain this? It's pure mythology. The Quran itself describes earthquakes as natural phenomena within creation in chapter 99. When the earth is shaken with its final earthquake, not the result of a giant fish moving beneath the earth. And here's another laughable one. If the man's discharge precedes that of the woman, the child will resemble the father. But if the woman's discharge precedes that of the man, the child will resemble her. Another version says, not every fluid produces a child. When Allah intends to create something, nothing prevents it. If the man's fluid precedes the woman's, the child resembles him. If the woman's fluid precedes, the child resembles her. Science has long proven that resemblance and traits are determined by genetics, not by who goes first. Honestly, it's embarrassing that these fabrications are still quoted as religious truth.
I honestly can't understand why these so-called scholars refuse to admit that these hadiths are fabricated.
Because, Omar, they keep repeating the same tired phrase. Al-Bukhari is the most authentic book after the Quran. If they acknowledge that even a few hadiths are fabricated, it would open the door for people to question the authenticity of the rest. So they take the easy way out, declaring every hadith in those books as authentic, no matter how absurd. Again, and I've said this many times before, they truly believe they are the protectors of Islam, not Allah. That's how illiterate of Islam they are. But what they're doing has serious consequences. They're hiding the truth while knowing it. Allah said in chapter 3, verse 78, "And indeed there is among them a group who distort the scripture with their tongues so that you may think it is from the book, but it is not from the book. And they say, this is from Allah, but it is not from Allah. And they tell lies against Allah while they know." I'll end with this hadith which states, "The Prophet asked me at sunset, 'Do you know where the sun goes?' I said, 'Allah and His Messenger know best.' He said, 'It goes and prostrates beneath the throne and seeks permission to rise again. Soon it will be said to it, return from where you came, and it will rise from the west.' We now know with absolute certainty that the sun does not go anywhere, nor does it revolve around the earth. Science has in fact confirmed the true miracle described in the Quran, in perfect harmony with reality. Allah said in chapter 36, verse 38, "And the sun runs on course toward its appointed term." As modern science shows, the sun moves through space at an astonishing speed of about 828,000 kilometers per hour, carrying with it the entire solar system, the planets, moons, and all. That's the real divine truth, perfectly preserved in the Quran, not in man-made hadiths.
If people truly want to see real miracles, not myths or fairy tales, they need to go back to the Quran. The real scientific miracles are already there, revealed over 1,400 years ago, long before modern science discovered them. For example, in the Quran, Allah described the stages of human creation with astonishing precision. Allah said in chapter 23, verses 12 to 14, "And we created man from an extract of clay. Then we placed him as a drop in a firm lodging. Then we made the drop into a clinging clot, and we made the clot into a lump of flesh. Then we made the lump bones, and we covered the bones with flesh. Then we produced him as another creation. So blessed is Allah, the best of creators." These verses describe the embryo developing in clear stages, from a drop to a clinging clot, to a lump of flesh, then bones, then flesh covering the bones. Exactly what embryologists confirmed centuries later with microscopes. That's the difference between the Quran and fabricated hadiths. The Quran doesn't need to imitate science. It precedes it. Every true miracle in Islam is found in the Quran. not in the mouths of men who invented lies about the Prophet. So my advice to every Muslim: if you want to see Allah's miracles, stop chasing weak narrations and start reading the Quran. The truth is already there, pure, perfect, and proven. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
We're not here to issue fatwas or change anyone's beliefs. These videos simply reflect our understanding and perspective. Our goal is to inspire you to think, reflect, and read the Quran yourself, just as Allah commanded, and discover the real Islam for yourself.